Hey everybody, it's Jared and Jesus.
Hallelujah.
With a little extra credit going out to, of course, the glare outside.
You need curtains, man.
I do need curtains.
I know.
So welcome to our next episode of Awesomeness. Speaking
like
to the
that.
microphone.
I'm tempted to sing the song by the Soggy Bottom Boys from Oh Brother Where Art Thou, because the microphone is like right there and I can just like bark into it and totally rock everyone's socks off and become famous like Miley Cyrus in Candyland. Okay, in all seriousness.
just ate a mouse.
Nah. All right, in all seriousness, where are we starting today?
I don't know. You are the one that has the outline of things we need to
that's right. Well,
chat about.
I thought today would be a kind of a fun opportunity to talk about what, to me, is a new force in gaming coverage and in the gaming conversation, and that's recorded walkthroughs and playthroughs. I have been absolutely enamored with these things, and I'm not quite sure if I'm just a total geek, but the reason I like these things is just that, you know, being an actual professional, I don't have time to play games like I used to. How about you, Jared?
They're about the same. I don't have the time anymore to play. I don't have the time to play. I mean, that's just what it comes down to.
I mean, would you say that, like, you don't have the time to play specific things? Can you fit certain types of gameplay in?
I mean, there are some games that do indeed get my that do indeed get my attention. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm looking at something else at the same time. I'm doing.
That's very wooed.
Anyway, that's very wooed. How wooed of you to do that. No, there are certain games that I do give attention to, that I do definitely enjoy or want to play, and then there are some games that, you know, I'd like to, but other games have my attention more at the moment.
I mean, I found that for a little while, I was actually playing Cityville, and I don't like to admit that, but I was, because it was convenient, because I could take it with me and play it anywhere. And Minecraft kind of got rid of that, though, because it has that same effect. I can spend 5 minutes in Minecraft and get a pretty good bit of enjoyment out of it. I don't have to sit in front of a TV and devote my time to a first-person shooter. Have you found anything that has that effect on you?
Mine's Minecraft. I mean,
We need to diversify, man.
I have easily put 400 plus hours into Minecraft at this time.
I think I'm hitting about maybe 15, 20, and I only purchased it a couple of weeks ago, so I'm right there.
He's one of the very few unlucky ones that were not smart enough to buy it during alpha.
Yeah, I know. That was a mistake. But so let me toss it to you first, because we talked about this earlier. Where do you go to look for playthroughs, and what have you been interested in?
See, actually, the big reason why I use walkthroughs is that there's some games out there that look interesting, but you're just not sure if you want to spend your almighty dollar on it. And for me, I like to use YouTube, particularly Mahalo.com.
We should link.
I will link that below.
Cool.
This whole section. I'm still getting used to the geographical location of the camera in my fingers. We'll link that below. But that's what I use. Actually, I think I just watched the playthrough for Alice Madness Returns, and I do want to spend my money on that one for sure, but I'm going to wait until it gets a little lower.
And you saw that on Mahalo as well. Did you play the original Alice?
Yes.
It looked really... I never actually played it.
The original
I heard so much
Alice,
about it.
by far, was much more spectacular of a game. It was a lot more dark, a lot more sinister. It just had that kind of, like, you felt like you were really in a dark place. That kind of made you feel good.
And from what I saw of the playthrough on the Yogscast, which I'll get to in a minute, it actually looked like it was kind of toned down.
That was the problem, is it was severely toned down. The characters were not the same.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't have that same feel that American McGee gave it in the first one.
I was really surprised at that. And I actually want to bring this up real quick because I think it would be an interesting tangent. I saw a playthrough of Dungeon Siege 3 on the Yogscast as well, and I was really turned off by that. It did not look fun at all.
Yeah, we won't get to that one.
Oh, we won't get to that?
No, we won't get
okay.
Mainly because, I love the first one. I mean, it was kind of a rip-off of some games, but the first one was okay. I liked it. The second one was just kind of crap. And then the third one, they made it even more crap.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a playthrough that just absolutely convinced you that you had to buy a game?
Probably of Demon Souls.
Demon Souls. How long ago was that? I don't even recognize the title.
A year and a half now?
Really?
I'm almost 2, actually. So I think it's almost 2 years old now. I think. If you've never played it, play it.
I disappeared into a nostalgic cave about 2 years ago, and I played nothing but old Nintendo titles. It was kind of a long, strange trip for me personally. But
What?
yeah, exactly. That was all I did. But I want to really throw out a shout out to the Yogscast real quick, and just I've been wanting to talk about these guys because I've been so impressed with everything that they've done. In fact, it was the Yogscast that sold me on Minecraft. They were the ones who got me so interested in it, and I had to buy that game just based on what they did. And it was the strangest playthrough I've ever seen in my life. And if you haven't seen this series, you owe it to yourself and go see what they've done. They started out as a regular playthrough, showing you the features of the game. They have an incredible sense of humor. They quit their way through it. It's almost like a science fiction Theater 3000 version of a playthrough where there's actual humor and wit involved with the actual playing of the game. So you get this kind of weird artifact of gameplay where you actually get to experience the gameplay mechanic from another perspective. But what really made the frickin' Yogscast was in their playthrough. We got a phone
Don't
call.
listen to it.
So we're ignoring it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm on lunch.
So, cool. So, oh man, it just totally nuclear blasted my mind, but I'll get through it. What they did with their playthrough is the playthrough became something much more epic as it evolved, and they began to tell a story using Minecraft as their stage, like they were filming some type of movie. And they had like all these friends of theirs who were posing as non-playable characters who would come and talk and advance the plot. Luckily, a member of the Yogscast is an experienced voice actor. He's actually done some work. You know that game Dwarfs? That game on Steam? He provided the voice for one of the main like guides in the game. They actually drafted him because of the work that he put in actually reviewing Dwarfs and actually impersonating the voice of the dwarf character. But it's evolved over like 30 YouTube episodes. That is the Shadow of Israfel, as they're telling the story in Minecraft. It is fantastic. I've never seen anything like that in my life. Have you?
Can't say that I have, lad.
Did you ever see Red versus Blue though?
So now you're just going into Rooster Teeth, and that's a whole other can of worms.
What is Rooster Teeth?
Red versus Blue? Mm-hmm. That's made by Rooster Teeth.
So, I mean, I actually never saw Red versus Blue because I'm lame.
Shout out to Rooster Teeth as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've seen Rooster Teeth every episode. I'm honestly in disbelief that you haven't seen Red vs. Blue. And
I've seen clips from it.
You're willing to reference Red vs. Blue without even seeing it.
Well, I know what it is. I know what it is. What was that?
Today we're popular, people. Today's
There's a little birdie in my
brought to you
ear.
by somebody who I'm not going to answer the phone for. Because they are not important.
But what was you're the expert on Red versus Blue. What was the appeal? What was the appeal of that show? What was it like?
You know, the big thing is, I mean, it is kind of like a comedy layout of just essentially the Halo universe as a whole. I mean, it came out obviously during the time of the first Halo. It started at that point in time, so you imagine way back.
Yeah,
in
it's
the days
pretty
of
old.
Xbox. And just the humor aspect. You get these two armies, Red versus Blue, stuck in
A box canyon.
No, it's a box canyon. No, Gulch Canyon. I think it was. Or I can't remember the name of the actual map anymore.
But it wasn't like they were playing the game. It was
No,
like
I
they
mean
were...
it was just completely random. They started coming up with essentially skits that went throughout this entire map. And I mean it still revolved around the whole Red versus Blue. But half the time, I mean the best part of the videos, you'd see a blue guy directly down the scope. There's a red guy, never shoot him. Just kind of look at him and be like, "What's that guy doing?" And it was just kind of funny.
And I think, and this is kind of a weird hybrid of the two because it has a plot, it has scripted elements, but what they do at the Yogscast is they have this kind of reactive element that they're actually playing the game, and you're seeing them play the game. You're seeing them mine, create things, respond to threats, enemies and mobs, other NPCs, and there's a feeling in Shadow of Israfel that you never know exactly what's going to happen. So I still haven't quite figured out how much of it is scripted and how much of it is legitimate, because I think their friends are creating the situations that they go into and they react to, and they don't know 100% what they're getting into when they start exploring it and interacting with the characters.
True.
It's really freaking clever, and it reminds me of like a throwback to Dungeons and Dragons or something, that it's like their friends as the NPCs are shaping the narrative and being the dungeon master of sorts. I mean, seriously, and I think I'm going to try to cap this here. If you haven't seen Shadow of Israfel, go to YouTube, you owe it to yourself to really look at it. It's really cool.
Sounds good.
Yeah. That's my recommendation. Yeah. So are we gonna? So are we gonna do this like straight through from now on? Or are we still gonna take commercial breaks?
We're gonna do it straight through.
Okay,
yes,
cool.
People, straight through.
Okay, cool. So Jared, what's been on your mind lately?
When I take pudding. What?
What? Anything been bothering you about the gaming world lately? Something?
Oh, do we have to get into that?
Yes, we do, because
The
we have to give
bothers
our
of the
opinions.
gaming world.
Yes, the quips.
Oh my god. Okay, so we can get into this wonderful thing of how media has changed, the expectations of gaming has changed.
Oh, you're writing a paper about that, aren't
But
you?
more, yes, I am.
Yes.
But more specifically, I do want to get into something. There was an interview recently with John Carmack of ID.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you know who that is.
Oh, yes, I know who that is. Come on.
You didn't know who Red vs. Blue was.
I knew what it was. I just never seen it. Come on, man. Give me some cred here.
No. So, anyway, he had an interview where they talked a little bit about Rage and the Rage engine, and how it... One of the things that John Carmack quoted as saying was that he regrets, if anything, looking at it as if consoles and the PC were on equal playing field at the time. And as it came out, and as, you know, because the game took 6+ years to work on for them, and the engine as well. So throughout this period of time, he basically regretted putting everything on a level playing field. So the PC, the consoles were on a level playing field. So at that point in time, everything was fine, but 6 years later, and we're looking at a game that looks the same on all three designs, but we have overpowered systems that essentially can handle 3 times better. So his regret was that he focused on it that way and wished that he had built it for the PC first and then ported it over to the consoles, which really makes much more sense to me. Maybe not from a developer standpoint, but at least from my standpoint, if I'm going to spend the money on a gaming system, which is my computer, I would prefer having the focus on something like that, and then, okay, we can now optimize this for consoles, and I think it would turn out better that way. Anyway.
To have a more PC-oriented focus.
Yeah, I mean, started on PC, kind of like what they're doing with Battlefield 3, which I'm really enjoying the fact that DICE has kind of put their focus on PC first, which is really nice, and then go back for the consoles. But
I mean, PC is a place where innovation is supposed to occur. I mean, that's where you get things like you can edit your own levels, you can customize and mod the game, you can break into its code and do all sorts of, you know, interesting, fun things with it.
Kind of for me, that was kind of the reason why it was an amazement when Notch came out during E3 and announced Minecraft for Xbox.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest drawbacks I think that's going to have is one of the reasons why it's so incredibly popular for the PC is the fact that it is fully customizable. So it's really hard to really picture it working really well for the Xbox.
It'll have to be some type of truncated version, even if it's just the version that you can't break in and mod. It'll have to be a clipped version of it.
That's true. I mean, even for a multiplayer aspect, chances are they're going to have to introduce the thought of actual servers, game servers for that, or even just a search engine for games. You know, PC, we have to manually enter all that information in just for the servers. I don't know. I think it just comes down to, it just seems more and more today that things are more consoleized than they used to be, and it's kind of a big dramatic change. You know?
But it's one that's been like kind of in flux for some number of years. I remember even when I was in like high school, And I remember the argument about console versus PC, and like one of my cousins always said, the best games will always be on PC. And as much as it irritated me at the time, he was right. Even looking back on the time that I spent with Duke Nukem 3D and all the custom levels that you could load on those crappy little like third-party CDs full of just chock full of all these, you know, level editing stuff. There was so much possibility out there. There were so many cool things that you could do, even in upgrading your hardware and like moving things around and just tinkering. It's like we were losing that element of customization in games, and everything's just kind of turning to this this one proprietary model where everything is just kind of decided for you.
Well, I mean, you get into that fact. I mean, you start looking at older game engines. I think we had a conversation about this a couple days ago too, where we talked about Unreal Tournament and how customization in that has changed dramatically. It was in UT99.
Yeah.
They gave the player all the same tools that they used for map creation and for even modification for the game.
Yeah.
And then as the newer versions of Unreal Tournament came out, you started seeing less and less. And then when UT3 came out, Unreal Tournament 3 came out, there was no mod customization tools whatsoever because it was a cross-title platform. So they didn't feel it was right to give the PC users something that no other user could use. And that didn't make sense to me because I still think, you know, whatever happened to focusing on, you know, the supercharged version of the game first, and then saying, okay, now we can optimize. It just didn't make sense to me.
And the industry needs to learn to actually play to the strengths of each device rather than try to make that cross-platform experience, because like it would make a lot of sense for someone, if they're going to invest in a system that works really well, you want to play the game the way that you've invested to experience it. And I think it's kind of foolish to think that, you know, let's skip ahead a little bit to the future here. If I'm going to play Unreal Tournament on my phone, it's not going to operate the same way it's going to on a dedicated desktop that's designed to do that type of thing. And I think we all need to be honest with ourselves and, you know, let the industry do what the industry needs to do in order to move forward and make cool things happen. Why are we so concerned with everything being equal? I don't know. Like, relax. What bugs me?
Do that again.
I don't know.
Okay. On to the magical land of pixies and fairy dust.
Did you actually see that article that ran? I'm trying to remember what website I read it off of, but the PlayStation executive saying console gaming was dead?
I did not. In fact, you were telling me about it a couple minutes ago. I didn't hear about that at all. So why don't you go ahead and enlighten me?
Well, it's kind of an odd development, and I can't give you any names because I literally just read it and I haven't absorbed everything. But apparently an ex-executive from PlayStation has come out and said that console gaming is in its deep twilight phase. Like, it's fading away, and it's fading away fast. And what he actually said, and I think you'll be very interested in this, so I'm kind of pulling gasoline on the fire a bit here.
Let's see what happens.
He said the next bastion of innovation and design and power in the gaming world is with Apple.
See, we had a conversation about that a couple days ago, and
you see, because we're fast and we're beating everyone to the punch.
Apparently we are. And I do believe at some point the conversation was, you know, do we believe that Apple would eventually get into the console market? There's a possibility for everything. I mean,
sorry.
They've been slightly doing that already. I mean, starting to get into more things with that. I mean, the Apple TV kind of has the ability to do certain things. Granted, it's not a gaming device in any way. It's not even really a browsing device in any way. It's just essentially a media streaming device. But I mean,
it could be co-opted to do something
exactly
like that.
The fact that they can already do stuff like that, you know, it kind of is almost their first steps into that direction already. And at least with them, it's one developer, one market. So they'd be able to, I think that they'd be able to step in, but I don't think it would be a console as much as it would be just another version of Steam for the Mac.
Exactly. And in fact, one of the things that I thought was very interesting about it is whenever executives and whenever these power players talk, you have to take a step back and you have to think really carefully about what their motivations are and what kind of skin they have in the game on this. And in fact, that particular executive is now working with an OnLive competitor. It's another game streaming service that's trying to move into that market to try to innovate and start a Steam-like thing, an OnLive-like thing. So it makes a lot of sense for this exec to be saying, oh, consoles are dead. you need to start thinking about what the alternatives are.
So, I mean, it could. I mean, for him, it could just be a ploy to kind of make people think that, especially parents, and start pushing them in a direction where they're going to start looking into another device or whatnot to get there.
The thing is, ploy or not, I think he's got an interesting point. I mean, we could be on the way to that type of world.
Well, I mean, you already know my feelings toward Sony and future consoles and Nintendo's, their direction that they're taking. But you also know that I do believe Microsoft will always have a console out. And I think that brought us to another conversation before of, what kind of person will you be in the future? Will you be a Microsoft person, or will you be a Steam person or an Apple person?
That reminds me, another thing he said is that gamer identity will actually be mostly shaped about how you play and what version you play. And this was how he drew the line. We've drawn that line. Your computer did something weird. Oh, there it goes. We've drawn the line in several ways.
Sorry, everybody. My computer tried to go to sleep.
We've drawn the line in several ways. We said that it would be more a PC-oriented type thing. It would be more company-oriented thing. I'm a Microsoft gamer. I'm a Google gamer. That would be strange if that ever happened. You know how he draws the line? How you pay for it. For him, your primary identity as a gamer will not come from how you play, but the way you choose to play. Meaning, are you going to devote hours and hours and hours of your time to develop the identity, or are you going to invest tons of cash to buy that identity? Like in Cityville, how you can just sink $1,000 in so you can get a fancy house to live in. That's terrifying to me, because I don't know if I want to play with those people.
Well, I mean, see, you know what I think the future of gaming is going to end up being, and we're kind of seeing it quite a bit lately, is that there's a lot of games that came out, especially MMOs, that started out as a pay service. You paid the money to play it each month. Now we're starting to see a lot of these services turn into free-to-play.
Kind of like Heroes of Newer.
Exactly. Yeah. With the exception of, hey, we've got super equipment you can't find that you can buy. And this is how a lot of them make their money now, is that they're pretty much essentially giving you the game to play, but if you want to have the best looking and the coolest looking stuff,
you got to sink cash.
You've got to put some money into it.
And I'm kind of worried about.
It's a better market, though.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically selling people virtual cows and stuff. And the thing is like, I know one day, and I'm dreading this, and I want your opinion on it. I'm dreading the moment that I sit down and my birthday is coming, and my wife says, "What do you want for your birthday?" And I tell her, I want a Facebook credit gift card for $20 so that I can sink money into my favorite social networking game and get a fancy hat for my avatar. I know it's coming, and I'm terrified. Do you think it's going to happen to you?
No. And the reason being is I'm too much of a gadget geek. So, if that ever comes up, it'll be like, what would you want? I'd like the latest and greatest awesome thing. So I don't think it's going to come down to virtual money for me. I'm sorry. I don't sink my money into virtual reality. No, thank you.
It's like, what do you want for your birthday? I want an imaginary hat. It costs $25. I'd be so happy. And I know it's coming, and I'm going to hate myself. Hate myself.
People, this is what I deal with right here.
And you know what? You love it. You love it. Because I'm awesome.
I love to pick on you. Just because you think you're awesome.
No, I don't think I'm awesome. Didn't you hear me? I'm dreading that moment because I know it's coming. And I just don't know how I'm going to, how I'm going to absorb it. What am I going to do to survive when I become that guy?
Okay, there's this wonderful thing called... Never mind. Oh. We won't get into that.
Yeah, we won't get into that.
It's called the shotgun.
Let's do something a little bit different here now.
What?
How smoky can it get out there?
All right, for those of you that don't know what's going on, we live in Brunswick, Georgia, which is essentially directly above Woodbine, which is essentially directly above Jacksonville, Florida, or about 40-minute drive. Okefenokee Swamp in Florida is totally ablaze. There are parts of several counties surrounding our county that are ablaze with fire, because that's what ablaze means.
And it's bad.
And essentially, our entire area is covered in smoke. We have ash falling from the wonderful sky above us. Makes me feel like we're in a nuclear winter. It's pretty pitiful for It's terrible.
I told myself I was going to get in shape. I was going to start jogging. And one day I stepped outside and the smoke was just choking. And I was just like, you know what? I think I'm going to go eat that entire bag of soft Chips Ahoy instead.
The one day he was going to go ahead and be healthy, and he decides, I feel like being fat.
I decided to eat.
Because it's smoky outside. And then this guy's telling me that he's out of shape. And I'm like looking at him, I'm like, what the heck? And here I have a double chin going on. And he's telling me that he's...
I got one too, man.
Yeah, that's because you're sulking in. I don't even have to do that.
But my mom almost put me in the hospital once because I ate an entire bag of double stuffed Oreos in one sitting.
Who wouldn't eat an entire bag?
I know, right?
I don't care how many health nuts are out there. If somebody puts a bloody double stuffed Oreo in front of you, you're going to bloody eat it.
Supposedly the FDA, I think this is an urban legend, but I'm going to state it as fact because it's funnier that way. Supposedly the FDA has been pushing to get Oreo cookie cream listed as a toxic substance. It's that bad for you. It's like eating lead or something.
All right, people. Hold your horses. Hold them. I got one of the best...
What are you fishing for?
The best snack in the world is directly on me.
A cowtail. Sweet.
Cowtail.
Those things are...
Love those things.
And just like so
I'm a
many...
fat man. I gotta eat them.
Just like so many other tasty sweet treat sensations, I have heard if you lock those in a safe and leave it for 35 years, it will turn to liquor. That's a Simpsons joke. That would be good liquor, though.
Twinkie capital of the world. That's where I'm going, baby. So...
Any other thoughts? Anything else? It's caught your fancy? Caught your fancy. I'm bringing that term back. Dude, we're going to be the next Abbott and Costello.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
That was not a friendly look you just gave me.
That, ladies and gentlemen, was our first and last episode ever.
Dude, we're gonna be a hit, man. You guys have to help us out. Watch the video, tell your friends about it, make us famous.
If you guys if you guys liked our video, go ahead and like and subscribe to us.
Show him that he's wrong. That magic is real. We believe in Tinkerbell here. You have to clap your hands.
Are there 5 different kinds of magic, like in Magic the Gathering, where you've got the black, the red, the blue, the white, and the green?
There's only fairy magic.
So you're green?
I'm green, yes.
You're green. He's green and white.
I always played green in Magic the Gathering.
I was always blue and black.
That makes sense. You seem like a blue, manipulative, like, trickster.
I'm sorry. And for those of you that play Magic the Gathering, you're the only ones that are going to get this reference. I totally play Twiddle's Desire.
Oh, you did not.
I totally played Twiddle's Desire.
That's not cool.
With Tendrils of Agony. This is back about 5-6 years ago.
Oh, I do have one last actual point to bring up.
Oh,
have you seen
what's that?
That $5 Magic the Gathering game, like on Steam?
It's $10 now.
Oh,
because
$10?
it's officially sold now.
I would like to see that.
The Duels of the Planeswalker. And they released. They actually had a version that came out 2 years ago, I think, or it was a year before now. And that was the regular Duels of the Planeswalker. And then about a day ago or yesterday, I can't remember, they released Duels of the Planeswalker 2012. And that's the updated version with better graphics and a couple extra cards and decks. And, you know, I stopped playing about 5 years ago.
I actually stopped playing in high school.
I still have a deck. But I stopped playing about 5 years ago. And
when I get some actual cash, I'd like to get a deck. I think it would be fun to get back into it. And I'd like to get my son into it because it would totally help his math skills and his strategizing.
So he's about to have a son. Yay! Say congratulations! Yay!
Auden.
Oh, that's what you name him?
Yeah, Auden.
Sweet name.
After W.H. Auden. Whiston Hugh Auden. Whiston, that's a cool name. Whiston.
Winston?
No,
I know you said Whiston, but
Whiston.
I'm saying Winston.
But
Winston Churchill.
Yeah. In actuality,
thank you.
The Yogscast did a playthrough of that Magic the Gathering game, so I'm like getting all my gaming information from the friggin' Yogscast.
You need better friends.
They are kind of my friends. I've exchanged a few messages with them, but...
This part will probably be edited out of our entire conversation. Because it's going nowhere.
Oh, but it's fun. People, trust me, if I've learned anything from the Yogscast, people like pointless banter, and I mean that as a compliment.
If you are listening to this conversation right now, you must like Pointless Banner to be listening to this conversation, because I mean.
So, you want to wrap this up, J-Ron?
Why would we wrap it up? Because we're just having so much fun now.
It is fun.
It took us for... Ow. I bet that thing's going to snap real good on my microphone. Watch it. Boom! Look at that.
Awesome.
Hits the red.
I just made their ears bleed. I'm a rock and roller.
We're going to see how this looks. So, you guys, thanks for watching.
Thank you.
We'll be back next Wednesday for another fantastic episode where we'll talk about more useless junk that may actually mean something to some people.
Somewhere.
Suppose that means I should breathe right now. Peace.
Peace.